Another great example, and you'll see this, is in the celebrity world, where you have celebrities that will champion various crusades and causes. Because celebrities, if you get successful, you have a lot of money. And, you know, and good for them if they actually earned it and, you know, they were a nobody and they become famous later on. But still, the psychology remains. Here they are, they all of a sudden have this a tremendous amount of wealth. They really don't work for a living. I know they'll say, oh, acting is very tough. No, it really isn't. It's a kosher cake little job. So they feel like they have to do something else. Now, the example I provide here is from the movie Tropic Thunder, which is an awesome movie, directed by Ben Stiller. And here you see Ben Stiller playing Tug Speedman, his character in the movie, where it's pandas, their survival is not so black and white. Well, obviously, Ben Stiller is mocking all the various celebrities that champion all these various charitable causes, not because they actually believe in the cause, but because they're bored and they want to feel good about themselves. Now, this is fictitious and from the movie Black Thunder, but you see it every day here. For example, Sandra Bullock. Right? Somebody please explain to me, what is it with the women in Hollywood adopting kids from these third world countries? Now, this is not to say what Sandra Bullock has done here isn't noble. You know, no doubt this kid is going to enjoy a better life because Sandra Bullock adopted him. I'd enjoy a better life if Sandra Bullock would adopt me. But it behooves the question between her, Angelina Jolie, and Madonna, is it a fad? Is this fashionable? Are they really doing it for the kid, or are they doing it for themselves? Bono and his non-stop crusade to help poor countries in Africa with the alleviation of third world debt. The question you have to ask is, has Bono made a difference? The answer is no. The World Cup, the soccer games, have made more of an economic difference in South Africa and Africa in general than Bono ever will, because that's economics. Bono don't know anything about industrialization, economics, finance. He just knows how to sing marginally okay songs that middle-aged people who are drunk like. What is particularly scary, though, is what I like to call the career crusaders. And here you see this with none other than the UN. The UN is charted with all these various responsibilities, you know, controlling nuclear arms, poverty in Africa, eliminating child poverty, eliminating diseases, stopping terrorism, all of which they have spectacularly failed at doing. The UN has been a failed organization. The problem is, if you think that they're actually in the business of solving problems, then you don't see them for what they really are. The UN real purpose, what the UN really is nothing more than an employment vehicle for people with worthless degrees or connections. And here you see UN's ballooning 732 million Haitian peacekeeping budget goes mostly to its own personnel. No. Really? You mean the Haitians were never part of the deal? Again, they take the crusade, the poor people in Haiti suffering from the earthquake, and they use it for their own psychological purposes, or in this case, financial purposes. The real purpose of the crusade is this. It is to make the crusader feel good, a hobby to keep the crusader from being bored, and a reason to give the crusader's worthless life some kind of meaning or worth. That is what the crusade is all about. Now, Tenet 4 is arrogance or egomania or egomaniaism. I don't know what the correct term is. And here it's where, again, the individual puts the cause and the crusade and themselves against society. And they're never question, the way you see it is they never ask the question, two things, to see if the crusade is either moral or feasible. Right? For example, Bob Geldof. Let's talk about Bob Geldof. He says, we must do something even if it doesn't work. This is in response to, again, Live Aid in Africa. He's championed various causes in Ethiopia. Noble, and that's good, but look at that statement. We must do something even if it doesn't work. Well, let's take a look at Bob Geldof. Bob Geldof, singer, songwriter, very popular in Britain and Europe. I never heard of him. The only reason I heard of him is because of his charitable efforts. But if you look at him, he's failed, along with Bono. They have not brought about an end of poverty in Africa. Well, if you look at the statement, we must do something even if it doesn't work, translate that into what a crusader says, and this is what Bob Geldof is really saying. We need to do something even if it doesn't abate poverty, because then my ego gets stroked and I feel good, and that's certainly worth wasting billions of dollars of other people's money. Bob has never asked about whether it's feasible. And if it's not feasible, then why do it? Because it makes Bob feel good. And if we get some taxpayer dollars and some charitable money, and we can waste it on some, concert, well, some people had some fun, but guess what? The truth is, people in Africa are still starving and nothing has really improved. The best example, though, if you want to take a look at the Arrogance, where they put themselves ahead of society, never ask whether it's their right, whether they have a moral right to start telling people what to do, let alone whether it's feasible, is Corporate Accountability International's campaign to retire Ronald McDonald. Their campaign is aiming to get Ronald McDonald out of McDonald's, which would be like getting baseball out of America. And the reason why is because they claim that Ronald McDonald is causing childhood obesity. Forget whether parents should be in charge of their own children. Forget whether Corporate Accountability International has a right to tell a private company who they can and cannot have as a mascot, let alone proselytize to society that we should eat this and we shouldn't eat that. That never occurs to them. They never question the morality or the feasibility. They never question whether they have a place in this argument. They just dictate that they do. Right? So ask yourself, what kind of people are in Corporate Accountability International? Well, if you look at their profile, here we go. Kelly Lulaher, I can't pronounce her name, so that's how I'll pronounce it from henceforth. And you can read through her background if you want. But prior to joining Corporate Accountability International, Lulaher taught math in the Central African Republic. Again, feasible. How is the Central African Republic nowadays? And it worked to empower homeless youth in Seattle. So they're empowered, but they're still poor. She holds degrees in, get ready, French philosophy and mathematics from Seattle University. So 1 out of 2 ain't bad. Right? The question is, did she actually join a Corporate Accountability International or work in the Central African Republic because she cared about people? Or did she do it because she had no employment prospects and wanted to have something to do so she could feel good about herself and gave no regard as to whether or not she should be telling people what to do? You look at some more of the staff here, Corporate Accountability International, Stacy Folsom. 2001, she played a lead role on several electoral campaigns, including for the re-election of Senator Jeff Bingham. You're going to see a correlation with politics. She has no additional background like that, but she doesn't have a degree in accounting. And then we look at Patty Lynn. She holds an MA in International Peace Studies and a BA in Political Science from the University of Notre Dame. Okay, a Master's in International Peace Studies. I didn't even know there was enough material to get an associate's in international peace studies, let alone and no doubt you can get a doctorate in it. Again, this is proof positive that these people had no intention whatsoever of actually becoming productive members of society, and find nothing wrong with going and villainizing and assailing different aspects of society so that they have a crusade and they have some kind of career. Now, there's more people at Corporate Accountability International, but if you want, you can go to this website here, look up their staff and board, do it as a homework assignment, and see how many of these people actually have some kind of skill to offer society, or are basically a bunch of liberal arts majors who have nothing to offer society, but have no problem forcing society to do what they want so they can feel good about themselves.